not just with your classmates, but also with your faculty members. And so kind of transitioning to the next part, I think it's student life. No, it's not. I almost have all these memorized. I do this all the time. I should have it memorized. So these are some of our student success initiatives. Success and really support of our students is part of our mission at Augusta University. We say we are student-centered and patient-centered because we're a health institution. I've mentioned a few of these already. I was a member of the honors program. That's what helped me get to where I am today and why I'm here with you guys. There are so many exciting opportunities in that program. To graduate, you have to complete an undergraduate research thesis, which is published within the institution. And you also have the freedom to pursue what research you want to go after, and also it's yours. So if you want to publish it somewhere else, you can, which is a really big deal in the field of research. And then we have our career services office. So most people think like, oh, I'll talk to them when I'm about to graduate to get ready to go find a job. No, they're here for you the whole way. If you come in as one major and you're like, I don't know if this is for me, career services is there for you to help you figure that out. We help our students with surveys to figure out where their strong suits are and what majors that we have on campus that could definitely support that. And also, it's okay to not know what you want to go into. That's like the biggest myth of applying to colleges. You have to know your major, and that's your major for the rest of the 4 years. That's not the case. You have 2 years of core classes for a reason. Those 2 years, you get to take classes in all sorts of different disciplines. History, English, languages, if you want to learn a different language. You can take computer and cyber sciences. You can take all sorts of different sciences. So there's a lot of room for you to explore and kind of see what your passion is. And I always encourage my students to not be afraid of coming in undeclared. That doesn't hinder you at all in the application process. We're just happy to have you. And we want to make sure that you do find your fit at Augusta, because I can almost guarantee you it's probably there. You just have to talk to someone to help you find it. And our next slide talks about some of our direct admit programs to Augusta University and our professional schools. So we do have a direct admit program from the bachelor's to the medical school or bachelor's to the dental school. Those are 7-year programs. They're very competitive. They have a very high amount of scores in addition to your scores to get into Augusta University as a general application. But essentially, students that are accepted to these programs, as long as they maintain the GPA requirements and the program requirements and score according to the requirements for each program, they're guaranteed a spot either in the dental college or the medical college. We just graduated our first round of these professional scholar students, which is exciting because there's been a lot of growth since we started that. And then we also have our Bachelor's of Science in Nursing direct admit program. So essentially, students that are accepted to that program and maintain the GPA requirements and the testing requirements, they are guaranteed a spot in the Bachelor's of Science in Nursing program because it is a selective program. And then on the next slide, this is when I think we transition to student life. So as local students, I can tell you it's very easy to go to class, you're there for class, and then leave and go home or go do whatever you have left to do. It's so easy to get in that habit. I will tell you, it is vital for you to find your community and to find your success and to be successful. Studies have proven this, to get involved on campus. There are so many exciting opportunities, and there's constant growth in these two. We just had, I think, our second week of welcome where all of our student organizations set up tables in our amphitheater to meet new students and to get them involved. And it's important because you get plugged in different ways. If you want to be a part of the psychology club, but psychology is not your major, that's fine. It's not binding. You can do whatever you want and get involved with whatever you want. If you are a science student, but real estate is really interesting to you, you can be a member of the real estate club. You can even run for office in the real estate club. So there's a lot of fun ways to get involved in areas that might not be your major, but something you're passionate about. And then we do have free kayak rentals and free paddleboard rentals, which our students love to take advantage of. Our outdoor rec department actually plans trips either to the mountains or to the lake and does like camping trips out there for our students. So there's a lot of fun ways for you to explore the Augusta area in a different way too. And then on the next slide, you'll kind of see more or less our student life and engagement opportunities listed out. I was happily involved in a lot of these. John and I did student government together. That was fun. And then like I said, we started our own organization. We started an ambassador organization for our undergraduate academic college. And it's still alive to this day. And his brother's the president now. So it's really cool because it has helped professionally develop our students, but also help them get plugged in with other students too. And then one thing on the next slide that I love to talk about, this is more or less focused on the family members that are probably watching or in here today. It's so important for you to know, not just as students, but as family members or supporters of these students, that there are resources available to them. It's really important to know that these resources are accessible and they're active. Because I can tell you we have an IT help desk, but if I don't tell you that they're not helpful, then it doesn't mean anything. One of my favorite things to talk about is our counseling center. We have 2 locations. We have a location on our Somerville campus and our health sciences campus. During COVID, they didn't shut down. They were already ready to go online and stay available for our students. And the amount of reports that we got that it just really made a difference for our students was great. Dr. Petrova has worked so hard to make things more attainable for our students so that they feel like they have someone there for them. Another one I'll talk about too is, I mentioned those 4 campuses, right? Well, what if you don't want to drive to all 4 campuses and worry about parking? We have our Jaguar Express, which is our shuttle service. You can actually track the shuttles in real time to see how far away they are, which routes you need to get on, if there are any schedule changes or delays or anything like that. I ended my 5-year streak of not using the shuttle 2 days ago, and I can attest it works great, and it arrives on time, and it's very quick and very safe. And the drivers are so kind. So it's a really, it's a great resource for our students too. And then next slide, please. So a little bit about residence halls. We do not require incoming freshmen to live on campus. We do have local students that sometimes want to live on campus just for proximity and convenience. So that's totally up to y'all. We do have a YouTube tour that's student-led by, on the housing website. So if that's something you're interested in, I definitely recommend taking a look at that. We do have the traditional semi-private and private options. So a semi-private suite is 2 bedrooms, 2 students in each bedroom and a shared bathroom. And then a private suite is 1 student in each room and a shared bathroom. There are kitchens, laundry, all sorts of great residence life opportunities as well. And then I can kind of blow over the next couple slides because y'all are local. They're more focused, the next 2 slides are more focused on telling you what Augusta's like. But you'll know what Augusta's like. I think one thing that makes Augusta University unique is our involvement with the community. Augusta University is very involved in the community. We're very connected with the community and have a large focus on supporting those that are right next door to us. One of my favorite new things that's happened is we rebranded. So our brand is Augusta University, an experience like no other. What we did is we partnered with small businesses to help us grow that new brand. Because it's important to be connected to those that are supporting you and that you're trying to support them. And so that's something that I just absolutely love. And we also have a lot of our health, little health clinics throughout the CSRA and also now throughout the state. So it's really neat to see that grow. And our students actually sometimes will go and either volunteer there or participate there as well. So how do you get to Augusta University? These next few slides will cover that. So these are our freshman admission criteria. Don't be concerned with that top little portion. That's the averages for fall of 2019. So our freshman index is really what we use to calculate our students' eligibility for admissions. We require SAT or ACT scores and official high school transcripts. Our minimum high school GPA is a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. So we look at an unweighted GPA. And the credits we use to evaluate that are your required credits for high school graduation. So your math, your English, your science, your foreign language sequence, and your social studies. Those are the grades we look at to calculate your GPA. And then we require those test scores. Those are our minimums on the screen. For those watching, our minimum for an ACT is 17 in English and reading and a 17 in math. And then the SAT minimum is a 480 in English-based reading and writing and a 440 in math. I had to read that because we haven't required test scores for the past cycle, so I don't have them memorized. But we are requiring test scores per our governing body of the institution. And then we can skip the next couple slides because those are population specific. And then the process. So you've heard who we are at Augusta University, what opportunities are available, and how to get involved. Now, how do you get here? The process is really straightforward. So we're on Common App and we're on Georgia Futures. Our application fee is $55, but we do accept the NACAC, ACT, and SAT fee waivers. Also, if you indicate it on your Common App, we can work with your counselor to apply fee waiver in a different way sometimes too. So definitely talk to your high school guidance counselor if you have questions about that. And then once you submit that initial application on Common App or Georgia Futures and that fee or fee waiver, then you get an email with a direct link to your application status portal. So that portal, star that. Favorite it, bookmark it, it's your best friend because it's going to be your one-stop shop during your whole process. So when your transcripts get sent to us, you'll see it, a green check mark on your application portal with the date we received it. When your scores get here, the same thing. So you have a live checklist, you see everything that we see. And then the decisions are also posted on that portal too. And then the next slide kind of goes into our timeline. This timeline never changes, so whether you're a junior and you're applying in a couple years or you're a senior now, this timeline is consistent always. I won't talk too much about this, but October 1st, that's a very important day, and you're probably going to hear about that in a second. That's when FAFSA opens. FAFSA is, the sooner you get it done, the easier it is for you and your family to update it. I always tell the story, which is a true story, that I waited till the June before my classes started in August, and let's just say Dad was not happy about that, so don't be like me. Get it done early. And then our early action deadline. So early action essentially means you get a decision before everybody else, and that makes you eligible to apply to Augusta University institutional scholarships. So those decisions release around early to mid-December. And then our scholarship deadline is February 1st. That is a very harsh deadline of February 1st because our financial aid office wants to make sure that they're able to roll out those awards to students as they're about to make their decisions. So if that is something that interests you and like you really do want to see what opportunities are available with scholarships from Augusta, definitely submit an early action application before November 15th. And then May 1st is our deposit deadline, so that's actually National Decision Day for college admissions throughout the entire U.S. And so we love to celebrate that. It's the deadline for you to secure your spot and confirm your enrollment at Augusta. It's also, if you're interested in housing, the deadline for priority housing. And then July 1st is what we call our final document deadline. So if you still haven't made up your mind yet, you still have till July 1st to turn in all of that documentation for your confirmation. And then the next slide is just some of our social media, so feel free to follow us. We post a lot of updates there, or any exciting things that we're trying to do in admissions to kind of reach our students and make things a little bit more interactive. I feel like we're about to start posting about upcoming events because we're hosting events again on campus. So there's great ways for you to come and see Augusta really just in its entirety. Those events are starting in October, so we're really excited about that. Our events coordinator has worked so hard to make opportunities available to students like y'all. So I'm very excited. And that's really all I have. My last slide is just supposed to be a placeholder if you have any questions. Do y'all have any questions for me?
In general,
what colleges?
Not necessarily. How to go about getting first years. And the reason why I ask this is, can you weigh two? Because the general idea is, for instance, you mentioned that you don't have to have a major in mind when going to Augusta University. Can you weigh for us the difference between taking a community college for core classes and maybe then transferring after those 2 years where you have your major? And what would that be like? Why should or should they not? I know every situation.
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, the benefit of coming for those core classes is you're already starting to network. You're starting to build that relationship with your faculty members and with your classmates. Did I know John before we started college? Yes. But did I actually get to know John because we took like 4 core classes together? Yes. And it's been 5 years and we're still really good friends. That would not have happened if I took my core classes somewhere else. The relationships I have with my friends that I met in college are because I met them in an English 1102 class, or I met them in my political science class, which you have to take anyway. And yeah, you can take it other places. And if that's what fits best for you, we have a lot of opportunities and relationships with the local community colleges, with Augusta Tech and with GMC to have a smoother transition to Augusta University. If that's the route you want to take, then there are options still for you at Augusta. It's just a different method. We encourage students to start with us because you are setting your foundation and you're starting your momentum at Augusta. It helps you go into your program a lot easier because, like I said, you've probably already taken a professor that's in your program or in your area of interest, and you've probably already made friends with students that are going to be in those same classes with you, or you've taken other classes with students in other disciplines. It is so important to get engaged in those core classes. If I didn't take them, I would not have had research, and I mean that quite literally. I would not have had an honors thesis. I would not have presented in DC or in Memphis or in front of generals. Like, that would not have happened because I had to take an anthropology class, and I was like, what the heck is this? What's anthropology? And then I ended up loving the subject, and I built that relationship with that professor whom I had never met before, and she became my advisor for my research. And we did some research that she had never heard of and that my other advisor had never heard of. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't sit in that intro class and engage with that professor. And I know you can definitely ask John, because John changed majors. He changed career pathways multiple times, and he wouldn't have found his fit if he didn't have those relationships with those professors. Sadly, our favorite professor retired, but he's a big reason. Like, you'll find someone you connect with in your intro classes, and they're the ones that are going to help you the whole way through. I dual enrolled at Augusta University. I didn't want to stay. I wanted to leave because I'm a local girl too. I wanted to go. I wanted to have my fun away from home. And I interacted with Political Science 1101, so Intro to American Government. The professor was Dr. Craig Albert, and gosh, so many discussion posts, so many readings, but at 17, I realized this is what I want. Like, I want to be here, because if a professor has 45 students and knows every single student's name, knows every single student's grade off the top of his head on the last paper he just graded, and can still hold a conversation and encourage me and like teach people about a subject they don't even want to learn about, but they get excited about it, this is the place I want to be at. And sure enough, that one class convinced me to stay and to take my classes there and to pursue my education there. And now I'm in grad school there. So it's just a great environment where you do have faculty that want to see you be successful, not just once you get to your major, but the whole way through. And another thing that makes Augusta University unique is you actually see your deans a lot. So deans are essentially kind of the directors of the academic colleges. Normally at other schools, you would not really see your dean. You wouldn't interact with them. The current dean of my college, I had no classes with her, but she was guest lectures in a lot of my classes. And she still teaches a class, and she's the dean of one of the largest colleges on campus. And that is so meaningful. I graduated and wasn't around campus for over a year, and she still was like, what are you doing? How are you doing? How can I help you? And I'm an alum. So that's meaningful. And that's just not in my academic college, that's in a lot of them. Even classes that I ended up not taking, like I still talk to those professors, and they still like really truly care about my success. So I would say that's a big difference if you start at AU, is building those relationships, because they really are life-changing, and some students will tell you they've saved their lives. So yeah, I think I'm at my time. So but yeah, and I'll be at the back afterwards, so if you have any questions, come ask me.
Thank you. Oh, wow. I'm not used to speaking into a mic. Before we do, we're going to have like a 5 to 10 minute intermission for people to go use the bathroom, get some water, etc. I just wanted to add like a little tidbit, because Ruben's question is a question that a lot of people get when they are coming out of high school. Should I go to community college and then after my first 2 years transfer elsewhere? As a transfer student, I can say if you do decide to do that, if you do decide to do your first 2 years somewhere and transfer elsewhere, the most important thing is to make sure those credits are transferable, because some universities might not be a part of the university system of Georgia, especially if you go out of state. They might have different kind of, their classes just might not line up for exactly what you need. So when I was in the process of transferring, the amount of times I went to my university website and was looking at those classes and my classes that I was taking at AU and which ones were working and how do they line up, it's stressful, but you have to do that because no one else is going to do that for you. So if it does become like a financial thing, or you just want to decide to go elsewhere and then transfer, whether it's GMC or some other community college and then go to AU or go to any other university in Georgia or outside of Georgia, making sure that your credits are transferable are very important. So I just wanted to add that part. Just felt like sharing. I want to thank Ms. Grace again, and we can start our 5 to 10 minute intermission. Feel free to, we have water and a few snacks in the back. You can use the bathroom, you can sit here, you can ask questions, you can chat amongst each other, but you have 5 to 10 minutes before we start. Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Thanks for coming. I'm going to make sure I can do this correct. Perfect. So my name is Brenda Vaughn with the Georgia Student Finance Commission, and most people know us as GA Futures. So Georgia Student Finance Commission is actually the name of the company, the agency, and GA Futures is our website. So you can actually follow us on all social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we are doing Instagram Lives, Facebook Lives with the most updated information. So you can follow us there. We're going to talk about the HOPE program today. We're going to do a little overview about the agency, the HOPE program itself, the award amounts, the application process, and some of the other aid that we have available. So the Georgia Student Finance Commission, we are based out of Tucker, which is near Stone Mountain. Our website, again, is gafutures.org. And that website, the most important thing to do at that website is to get an account, is to create an account. The number one reason for doing that is to check your high school HOPE GPA, which is the calculation we will be using to determine eligibility for the scholarships or the grants, okay? And it is different than your high school cumulative GPA. So it's really important to create that account and early, even in the 9th grade, because we start calculating that GPA when you complete the 9th grade. So you are able to see every year what your HOPE GPA is. You can also enroll in dual enrollment, and we will talk about that a little bit more later. Request high school transcripts. That's important for the seniors who are applying for colleges, sending those transcripts to those colleges. You can apply to colleges. Grace mentioned that earlier about applying to Augusta University through GA Futures. And you can also get all the updated and reminders through the website as well. So the HOPE program, and this the little QR code, we haven't gotten this year's programs or brochures printed yet. So the QR code you can use to link out to the program or the brochure. I also have some in the back if you're interested. They're a little outdated, but they basically have the same information. Not much has changed, so you're welcome to pick that up as well. So the HOPE program is, there's many pieces to the program. You have the scholarship side, the grant side, so you have the HOPE scholarship, the Zell Miller scholarship, you have the HOPE and the Zell Miller grant, the HOPE career grant, and all of this is funded by the Georgia Lottery. There are certain requirements for the HOPE program. One, you have to be a legal resident of the state of Georgia. You also have to be males at the age of 18. You have to be registered for selective service. Selective service is the draft. That's a law. At the age of 18, you have to sign up for selective service. The federal government for federal aid has discontinued this requirement. So for federal aid, the law is to register. For federal aid, you don't have to be registered or acknowledge that you're registered, but for state aid, you do have to be registered. That's still the law. So I want to make sure that's really clear. You do have to be a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen, and that's the student, not necessarily the parent. So if the student is a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen, then they would be eligible. And you have to attend an eligible post-secondary institution. And the post-secondary institution that are eligible, there's a list on our website. Every single one of them is in the state of Georgia. So I get this a lot, especially here in Augusta, about going to South Carolina or nearby states. But if you're not, you can only use the money within the state of Georgia, okay? So again, there's two major sides to the HOPE program, the scholarship side and the grant side. The scholarship side is if you're going for your associate's degree or bachelor's degree, okay? The grant side is if you're working towards a certificate or diploma program, typically the technical school, okay? So that's the difference. And we'll go through both of those, but we'll focus on the HOPE scholarship, okay? So you have to be going for your associate's degree or bachelor's degree. You do have to have a 3.0 high school HOPE GPA to receive it. and you do have to have 4 academically rigorous courses throughout the 4 years that you're in college. The rigorous courses, the list is, this is a general list. It's AP courses, any IB courses, dual enrollment core courses, any advanced math, science, and a lot of times those maths and science don't say advanced math. It might be biology or biology 2 or calculus or something of that sort. So those would be considered rigorous courses. And that list is also on GA Futures, so you're able to see exactly what courses are considered rigor. Again, your high school Hope GPA is different than your cumulative high school GPA. We are the ones that calculate your high school Hope GPA, and we do that by receiving the transcripts from your high school. They upload that information, and we do the calculation. So you can, when you log into GA Futures, you can click on the far right-hand tab. It says My GA Futures, and then you will come to a list which has your profile, and then it also has My High School Hope GPA. You'll click there, select your high school, and then you'll be able to see your Hope GPA. Your Hope GPA is calculated from the 9th grade all the way to the 12th grade. So the minute you enter high school, the decisions you make on studying and the grades that you make determine your eligibility for college. And that's real important to know that everything you're doing from 9th grade on has an effect on what's going to happen in college, okay? So you want to make sure that you're making those grades, you're keeping up by going to GA Futures and looking at what your GPA is so you know where you stand, and make sure you're doing as well as you can. So it will look like this. So you'll see your high school Hope GPA. You will also see the number of rigorous courses that you've taken. So every year if you're taking a course, we'll just keep adding numbers to that rigor, okay? You can also see, I think I have a pointer. Yeah, let's see. So here is also where your test scores are. So if you are working towards your Zell Miller Scholarship and test scores are required, that means you need to make sure they're being sent to us. Either take the SAT and put our code in. You can also do it manually or self-reported, and there's instructions on our website as well on how to do that. But if you can't see your test scores here, we don't have them. And if you're looking to get Zell Miller that requires the test score, they have to be there for the post-secondary institution to see them as well, okay? Also, the little blue square at the bottom is you can view your transcripts, and so it will show you what classes we counted towards your GPA and which ones we considered rigor. So all of that information is there for you. It's also really important to check this, because if you're checking and it's not there, there could be a problem with your social and the high school having the correct social, birth date, and those kinds of things. You want to make sure all of that's fixed before you leave high school. Because once you leave high school, I'm telling you, that summer, counselors are gone. And I've had so many problems this summer trying to get those fixed when the counselors are gone. So make sure you're able to see your GPA. If anything, it clarifies that they have the correct social and all of that's matching, okay? So once you're in college, you have earned the Hope Scholarship with a 3.0. You have to maintain it with a 3.0 College Hope GPA. You will be checked every spring semester, and you will be checked when you attempt 30, 60, and 90 semester hours. I say semester, there's only one institution that uses quarter, Georgia Military College. So if it's quarter, it's 45, 90, and 135 quarter hours when you're going to be checked. You will be able to view your college Hope GPA on GA Futures as well. So just like in high school, your high school GPA is different than your high school Hope GPA, and college, your college cumulative GPA is different than your college Hope GPA. So you will continue to come to GA Futures every semester. We'll get the transcripts uploaded and we'll do a new calculation. And we will keep track of when your benchmarks are coming up. So you'll know that every spring semester you're getting checked, and then you'll be able to see what classes you've taken and when your next benchmark is. So this is about the College Hope GPA. Again, we're the only ones that calculate it. The reason that it is different is any STEM courses that you take, we add weight to those. Also, dual enrollment classes are not calculated in your College Hope GPA. So they're in your high school cumulative, high school Hope, and your college cumulative, but not in your College Hope GPA. Okay? Keynotes about the scholarship: if you lose it, you can only get it back once. So you do have one opportunity to get it back. Again, dual enrollment classes are not included. You are able to earn the Hope Scholarship once you're in college. So if you didn't get that 3.0, you can start college for your associate's degree or bachelor's degree. You attempt your first 30 hours. If you have a 3.0 at that time, you'd be able to get the Hope Scholarship then. But I'm going to tell you a cheaper way to do that later on, okay? So Zell Miller Scholarship. Zell Miller Scholarship, if you're the valedictorian or the salutatorian and you have met the eligibility for the Hope requirements, then you would be able to get the Zell Miller Scholarship. If you're not one of those two people, then you would have to have a 3.7 high school Hope GPA, and you would have to have the 1200 on the SAT or a 26 on the ACT. Now, Grace didn't mention this, and I'm not sure what admissions her at Augusta University does, but we don't super score. So sometimes admissions will look at the best of your math, the two different parts. If you've taken the SAT several times, they'll take the best of whichever time. We don't do that. We do only one sitting. Now, you could take the test as many times as you want, and we will take the best score, but we're not going to take pieces of the different times. So we'll do only one sitting. You do have up until graduation to take the test, so you can take it as many times as you want to. So I would encourage you to start taking that now. So if you do have to take it a couple times to get the score, you have some time to do that. The last 2 years, the graduates had extensions due to COVID to take the SAT and the ACT. Right now, the graduating class of 2022, are we 22? Yeah. They are at graduation. So unless something changes, right now, that's you have up until graduation to take the test. So you have to have a 3.7 to require the Hope Scholarship. While you're in school, you maintain it with a 3.3. The benchmarks are all the same. You're getting checked every spring semester and your 30, 60, 90 semester hour. Okay? You can only get Zell Miller back once. If you do come in with Zell Miller and you've got less than a 3.3, but at least a 3.0, you can go down to the Hope Scholarship until your next benchmark. If you have your 3.3, then you can go back to Zell Miller, okay? You cannot earn Zell Miller in college, and you have to come in with Zell Miller. So if you come in with Hope, you can never go up to the Zell Miller Scholarship, okay? Let's see, what else? Oh, SAT scores also, again, please submit those to us. Our score or our code is 0472, so that's really important. So when you're taking SAT and you're listing all the schools you want the scores to be sent to, make sure to include us as well. This is just a really cheat sheet of a chart to explain the difference between the Hope and the Zell Miller requirements. Hope being 3.0, Zell Miller 3.7, same rigor requirements. Hope does not have test score requirements. The Zell Miller does, the 1200 or the 26. You can keep both Hope and Zell as long as you maintain the GPA requirement. You can only attempt up to 127 hours, and dual enrollment classes are not counted into that. And you have up to 10 years to use it. And once you've earned your bachelor's degree, you're no longer eligible. Okay? So again, that's the scholarship side, associate's degree, or bachelor's degree. So let's talk about the grant side. So the Hope Grant, you have to be enrolled in a certificate or diploma program, graduate from the high school, and there are no test scores and no GPA requirements. So you graduate from high school, and you enroll in a technical school or a school with a certificate diploma program, you are able to get the Hope Grant, okay? You will be checked at your 30 and 60 paid hour, and you have to maintain a 2.0 cumulative GPA. So you maintain that 2.0, you could keep that Hope Grant, and it will pay part of your tuition, okay? For the Zell Miller Grant, if you go to college, you go in with the Hope Scholarship, you do really well, you get all A's, you get at least a 3.5, you can actually earn the Zell Miller Grant, okay? So, which will pay your full tuition. So you go your first semester, you get the Hope Grant, pays part of your tuition, you get the 3.5, the next semester you get Zell Miller. Zell Miller will actually go back and pay what Hope didn't cover that first semester. So for the students that don't have that 3.0 for the Hope Scholarship, you could go into utilizing the grant part first, get your 3.0 or your 30 attempted hours, your 3.0, and then transfer for your associate's degree, bachelor's degree, and then utilize the scholarship. Okay? Make sense? Yes? Okay, I'll talk about the award amounts in a minute. Perfect question, though. Okay? So that's the Hope and the Zell Miller Grant. Then we also have the Hope Career Grant. There's a slew of certificate and diploma programs that are in the Career Grant that gives you additional money. And I think there's about 7 or 10 of them. If you have the Hope Career Grant and the Hope Grant, it will pay your full tuition. So you don't have to have that 3.5 for the Zell Miller Grant. If you have these two grants together, you can still maintain at least the 2.0 and it's still paying your full tuition. So that's also very good. So there's, again, a ton of these. The whole list, this is the general fields, but the specific diplomas and certificate programs are listed in GA Futures that you can look for them specifically. And the list is really so long. If you have a school in mind, I would actually go to the school and say, hey, I would like to utilize the Hope Grant. Which of these do you have? Because if you find something you like and then finding the school, it becomes a little bit convoluted. All right, so award amounts. So the Hope and the Hope Scholarship and the Hope Grant pay a portion of your tuition. Pays a certain rate at each institution. That rate is different at each institution. You can find the rate at gafutures.org. You look up the institution, it'll tell you exactly how much is being paid for full-time enrollment, but it is per credit hour, so you don't have to be full-time. So depending on how much you're enrolled will depend on how much Hope will pay based on your enrollment. I'm sorry? Absolutely. So it's for both technical and, so if you're using, it's really about degree program. So associate's degree or bachelor's degree with the Hope Scholarship. There are technical schools that have associate's degrees, so they will do the scholarship. Grace, does your certificate program, is it a grant, Hope Grant certificate program? Okay. Okay, so some four-year schools may have a certificate or diploma program. You've got to make sure it's a degree program. And then if it's a certificate or diploma, you'd utilize the grant, okay? And it would pay part of. I think I muted myself. Did I? Oh, I muted myself, sorry. I feel like I'm on Zoom right now, like I forget I'm muted. Yes.
I apologize. This may have been already gone over. But to qualify for the Hope Grant, is there a certain age limit?
Is there an age limit? There's not an age limit, but you have to, depending on when you graduated, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago, they switched it from 7 years to 10 years after graduation. So if you've graduated more than 7 years ago, you're probably in the 7-year program, and you have outlived that time to use it. So you only have, the graduates this year have 10 years from graduation to be able to use this.
Oh, okay, so for instance, if you graduated in 2013, you still are eligible for the Hope Grant?
I'd have to look, let's see, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. No, you're done. Because 7 years from graduation, I would count that, because only 2 years ago did we start doing the 10 years.
And Hope Grant is for in-state training, correct?
All of it's in state, nothing out of state.
So if you graduated from another state, you wouldn't qualify.
It depends. You have to be a Georgia resident. So if the institution classifies you as a Georgia resident, then you'd be a Georgia resident. Yes. This is not income based. This is completely based on merit, so not income based at all. Okay. So Hope Scholarship and the Hope Grant will pay part of the tuition, no books, no fees, no housing, just a part of the tuition, okay? The Zell Miller Scholarship and the Zell Miller Grant would be full standard tuition. So I say standard tuition because there are some programs like nursing or something that may have a higher tuition rate. It will not pay that difference. It pays full standard tuition. If you're planning on going to a private school, there is a set amount that's being paid to the private school as well. So you can go to a private school and utilize the Hope and the Zell Miller Scholarship. Okay. This is the Hope Career amount, the Hope Career Grant amounts, and it depends on the program that you're enrolled in and then the number of hours as well for this additional money. Keynote, you must receive the Hope Grant or the Zell Miller Grant to be able to receive the Hope Career Grant, one of the two, and then you have to maintain a 2.0 college cumulative GPA. Right, well, the Career Grant, just like the other grants, are for certificate and diploma programs. So whether it's at a technical school or not, as long as it's a certificate or diploma program. All right, so the application process. There are two applications. One is the GSF app, Georgia Student Financial Application, or the FAFSA, which Grace mentioned earlier. So the GSF app is a one-time application. You fill it out once you're when you're a senior. So all seniors, you could do that tonight. Go to gafutures.org, log in, and I'll actually show you how to link to it in just a second. But it's a one-time application. It covers you for the 10 years that you're eligible for the program. If you don't know if you're going to be Zell Miller eligible or Hope eligible or the Hope Grant, you can just pick one, and we will adjust according to what your eligibility or what you meet, what eligibility requirements you meet once you hit college. So you don't have to go back and change anything. Select one, and then we'll adjust. Okay. The other form is the FAFSA, and again, it starts October 1st. It's very important to do that as quickly and as early as possible because there's a lot of money that's first come, first serve that you want to make sure to take advantage of. You will have to renew that every year, and it will determine federal aid and state aid. Now, we still encourage you to do both, even though FAFSA screens you for both. I know, in fact, Augusta University, I learned that from your financial aid office. They're like, no, do the FAFSA or the GSF app because it helps with our awarding process. So they are using it more and more to award the state aid without having to go through the FAFSA and those kinds of things. Also, if you're selected for verification through the FAFSA, the GSF app is not a part of that process, and so you at least should go ahead and get tuition paid. If you're selected for verification, that might slow down the federal aid process. Okay? So again, GSF app, you do it one time and you're done. The FAFSA you have to renew every year, October 1st. So dual enrollment, students are eligible to take dual enrollment classes. There are very good points to this and pros and cons to everything, right? So you're able to enroll into a college and take courses that will count towards your high school degree and your degree program in college. The eligible students now are 11th and 12th graders. You're eligible to take dual enrollment classes. If you're younger than that, it's an SAT scores required and different things like that. So in general, the 11th and 12th graders are able to take these dual enrollment classes. You do have to go through GA Futures here and to fill out the dual enrollment funding application to be able to receive that aid. So it's real important to, number one, talk to your counselor, talk to your parents, and to see if this is worth something you want to do. It's free. There's no cost for your tuition. There's no cost to your books. But if you don't do well in it, it can be very negative to your GPA, all kinds of things. So you want to make sure that you're ready because it is a college course, okay? So it is a little more difficult. Again, you fill out the dual enrollment application, and again, that's found on GA Futures. So to apply for the GSF app and or dual enrollment, you will click on the Hope State Aid tab, and then the state aid applications, the very first link, and the very first, and it's hard to see here, but the very first application is the GSF app. It takes like 10 minutes, not long at all. All right. Any questions? Yes. So the dual enrollment classes, it depends on the institution of what classes they will do with dual enrollment. For them to count towards the college or the high school Hope GPA, they would have to be a core class for us to count it in the calculation, and it would still be considered rigor because it is a dual enrollment class.
So it said that it's only for 11th and 12th graders?
It is mainly, if they're 10th graders, they'd have to have an SAT score and things like that, but honestly, even though, for the last 4 years, I guess they were doing it 9th through 12th grade, I never encouraged 9th and 10th graders to do dual enrollment. Unless they were going to a trade school and they knew exactly what they wanted to do, like they wanted to get straight into welding or straight into something like that, you're taking college courses. Not only is it harder, but the material sometimes may not be as appropriate either. And you're having discussions, you're in class with 18-year-olds and now it's only 11th to 12th graders. 10th graders do have to have a score. I don't know what the score is off the top of my head, to be able, an SAT score to be able to take dual enrollment classes.
So the reason why I asked is because I have a sister. She just went into 9th grade. But she did dual enrollment. But the way it was is that instead of actually going to her public high school, the college university has its own.
Career Academy.
Yes, correct. So it's like its own company, and she goes there as opposed to her public high school. That's not the same thing, is it?
It sounds like the same thing, and but I'm not sure how she's doing that at this point with a 9th grader.
Because the reason why I asked is dual enrollment, when I went to school, was you take a few classes in your public high school and drive or get a ride.
Well, but it's different. I mean, they do have academies in different places. You can take online classes. You can do it in the summertime. Some students as seniors are taking all dual enrollment classes and never going to high school. So it's different. Yep. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Do you want to wait? No.
For instance, the biggest situation is having to financially help our families, yourselves as well. So having to come to work to be able to help. We feel that, the only way to be able to do so is by taking online classes. Truth be told, is it better to do online classes through Augusta University or Centro? I know this is way off topic.
Well, I mean, it depends on, all of that depends on the individual. Even when you all were talking earlier about, and Augusta University is a great university for that right student. For that student who's wanting the 4-year degree, in something like that. But there are a lot of students who say, no, I know exactly what I want to do. I want to go and I want to build a machine. I want to go work on cars. I want to get my own business in air conditioning, cosmetology. My sister, she teaches cosmetology at Athens Tech. So there are people that know exactly what they want to do, and they don't need all of the, and I don't mean to degrade the fluff of the 4-year degree, right? You know, they want to go into the trade, they want to get it done, and they want to get out. That's for that school. Those who are not sure or want a different type of job and different type of career, I went in for education. Middle school education was my degree. I did the transfer thing. I grew up in Athens, but I went to Gainesville. It was Gainesville Junior College, UNG, 2 years there. And somebody made the point about transfer credit. I actually got a faculty advisor at UGA to advise me on what classes to take at Gainesville College to make sure every single one of those was going to transfer. I was not going to waste my time, right? So it really does depend on that individual. And, you know, is someone ready for those big classes or not? Yes or no? Who knows? It just depends on that individual. And, you know, saving money, you know, a lot of people say that going to a technical school, a smaller school, is more cost efficient. Well, there's really no data to support that anymore, especially when you have the HOPE program and the Zell Miller. You know, that's paying for the tuition, so you don't even equate that. If you're living in Augusta and you're staying home and you're going to Augusta University versus Augusta Tech, there's no extra money being spent. So it just really depends on the student, what their goal is, what their ambitions are, to determine where they fit.
I think I guess the reason, not only do I ask for those who are in high school, for instance, one of the biggest issues that I found for myself is wanting to go back, but I got to a point, thank the Lord, I got to a point where I ended up making too much.
You mean for federal aid? Yeah. Well, and you know, to your point about the online classes, you know, during Corona, I think everyone got a real eye-opener of whether they could do online classes or not do online classes. A lot of them didn't have a choice in it. But, you know, I'm hearing counselors are telling me now, you might as well talk about the grant because nobody has the GPA for the scholarship anymore. And because of that year. But there were some students that just loved it because of the social activities at school was too much for them. They'd rather be at home. I can get it done in 3 hours and I have the rest of the day to myself. So depending on the student, that's a big determination as well. As far as funding, whether it's your funding or your parent, you know, students and their parents' funding, it really is part of the decision of where you're going to go. And, you know, whether or not I can afford a 4-year institution, a technical school, or even out of state. Students, I hear all the time, I want to go out of state. Parents are like, why go out of state when you've got the HOPE and the Zell Miller Scholarship? And I said, you know, let them apply out of state. Let them see what scholarships they can get. It may be just as free for them to go out of state as it is for them to be here, depending on what they're willing and able to get. And when you start going down the price and you say, this is what it's going to cost here, this is what it's going to cost here, now, some institutions out of state will say, hey, you know, you were going to get the HOPE or the Zell, we'll give you a fee waiver and you don't have to pay out of state fees. Things like that. So you just never know. So I always just say, keep your options open. Whatever you're wanting to do, investigate it. See, put the numbers down, see what they have. The more information that you have, the better you can make a decision.
Do you have a good website or resource that you would recommend to, for them to be able to look into scholarship opportunities?
Well, so we have a search engine in GA Futures that you can go in and you can look up different scholarships. I always say the best source is your high school guidance counselor because they have the local ones. Watson Brown is a good one that's only in this area, so you are not competing with everyone nationally. I think being of Hispanic descent or, you know, you've got other scholarships that may be available that aren't available to other people. Someone asked me, they said, well, I have a learning disability. Do you think there's a scholarship available? I do think there's a scholarship. I don't know where it is, but anything that sort of makes you unique, there's a lot of scholarships available. look at your high school guidance counselor's webpage, but look at other high school guidance counselors' webpages. Look at private guidance counselors' webpage. All of that is free on the internet, and the more you start looking around, the more duplicates you'll find, different search engines like FastWeb or FinAid. And then you'll also see those scholarships and when they're due. Even 11th graders, 10th graders, look now for those. Go to award nights for high school, because then you'll see what your peers, what awards they're getting or what scholarships they're getting, and you can ask them, how did you apply for that? Where did you go to get that? And just start collecting all of that information, because typically, like Grace was saying, their timeline doesn't change. Local scholarships doesn't change either. Basically, they change the date on it. So if you can pull it out at 10th grade and go ahead and start filling it out, or you can make yourself eligible for it. So if it says we need 100 hours of volunteer work, a senior doesn't have time to do 100 hours of volunteer work. But if you're in the 10th grade, you got 3 years to do 100 hours of volunteer work. So you make yourself eligible for that aid as well. So the more you're looking, the sooner you're looking, the more likely you are to be able to get that kind of aid.
Yeah, I swear. Do scholarships have to?
Some could, but I don't know that there's many that do. But a lot of times it's, if you've earned your first bachelor's degree, you're no longer eligible. Once you've earned a bachelor's degree, you're pretty much cut off of everything. Now, but once you're in grad school, there are different things. You know, you could do TA, teacher's assistants, tuition remission, depending on your employer, things like that. But, you know, scholarships and any federal aid or state aid will probably be non-existent except for loans. So if anyone's planning on going to grad school, save all your money now and get as much free money as an undergrad, because you will need that for grad school. They're like, amen. Okay. Yes. So I'll do a quick thing on the FAFSA. All right, so October 1st, FAFSA begins. The student and a parent will need to create an FSA ID. It's a username and a password, it's an account. So the student and a parent. Now, if that parent already has one because of past siblings or because they're currently in school, they can use that same account. So you will go through and complete the FAFSA. You could put up to 10 schools that you're interested in. So you do not have to apply to a school. You do not even have to have talked to a school. If you're interested at all in that school, you can list up to 10. So October 1st, I've heard people say, well, I didn't apply because I haven't applied to college yet. Well, you don't have to. Just start applying for the financial aid. Any institution you're thinking about, list it. You'll go through that process. You will include all of your income. Your parents will include their income, download their tax returns, and to do that, they need that FSA ID. Now, if a parent does not have social security number, then they would not be able to create an FSA ID. That's not a problem. You would just manually put the tax information in, not a problem. Again, when you're at the end and you submit, you as the student will be able to electronically sign it. You'll print the page, and then your parents will sign it and you will mail it in. So you can still completely complete the FAFSA, just it'll take a little longer process if the parents don't have a social. And then yes, once you've submitted, you will get a confirmation code right then. You will know if you're Pell eligible, and they will automatically say loans. Okay, you will not know anything about the HOPE program, because that will come not until your graduation, your final transcript. Okay, we won't know anything about your grades until, we do, but we don't make any determination until final transcript, okay? So that's all you'll know from the federal government, and it'll say subsidized, and actually on that confirmation page, it doesn't even disperse the loan, sub or unsub. That comes when you actually get the award package from the college. And so the subsidized loan, and just to be clear, both loans you have to repay, okay? And then the subsidized loans, you are not accruing interest while you're in school, but you will begin accruing interest once you hit repayment. And so the longer it takes to repay that loan, the more interest you're accruing. So subsidized, no interest while you're in school. The unsubsidized, you would be accruing interest while you're in school. And then you'll accept all of that aid, or whatever aid you want to accept. And they'll have a list of all of the aid, the HOPE, the Pell, the loans, the other scholarships, whatever. And then once it's come time to pay the bill, the school will keep all their direct costs. So if you owe them tuition, they keep that money, fees, housing, meal plan, whatever you owe them, they keep, and then what's left, they will then send to you, and the student determines where it goes, typically like direct deposit into a checking account, and then you'll receive the rest of the aid to save or use for whatever you need. Okay, does that help? Yes. Yeah. Is it a website or what is it?
So it's like, have you heard of Shark Tank?
Yeah.
So it came out on Shark Tank, and apparently it's the #1 scholarship app to find. I just wanted to know the legitimacy.
Oh, so I wouldn't pay for anything. No, and FAFSA is free. All scholarships information should be free. I would not pay anybody to help me find. There's a lot of small businesses, people that come to schools and things that says, here, I'll help you with the FAFSA. We do FAFSA nights for free. Financial aid office can help. There's really no reason to pay for that. So I'm with you. I wouldn't pay for it. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right.
Well, the scholarship was created, the app was created because there was such a large dollar amount of scholarships that were used.
Well, but see, FinAid does the same thing. You create a profile, and the more the student will make that profile robust about them, the easier it is to find scholarships. It's more Fin, FINAID, and then FastWeb. But again, look at the high school guidance counselors because they'll link you to all those. Yes. So financial aid is scholarships, grants, loans, regardless of where it comes from. Okay, and so an institution has a cost of attendance. I don't know, $14,000. I'm making up a number. All right, so you can't get more than $14,000 of total aid. Okay, but typically that's never an issue. And so the HOPE and the Zell Miller scholarships and grants will only pay tuition. Now, if you came with a scholarship and they said, look, this scholarship will only pay tuition, and you're getting Zell Miller, you really don't need that scholarship. Most scholarships say for any educational cost or any educational expense. That means when, after all the direct charges have paid the institution, all that money goes to you, and you can use it for gas, you can put books, apartment, next year's books, whatever you need. Yeah. What? The bursar's office will send you like a 1099, and but talk to your tax expert about that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't. So it just depends on the scholarship. One that I
Thank you. That's okay.
We could have a nice round of applause for our guests. I want to thank YouTube primarily and our guest that came for funsies. I thank all of you for really coming. I know we started a little bit late, but I really do appreciate all of you coming, and I'm sorry that I sent like 10,000 emails to you guys, but I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I want to thank all of you for coming and for Ruben for asking 20,000 questions, because you never know when someone is afraid to ask a question and maybe he just helped somebody out. So I'm appreciative of that. I really hope that we can continue doing these for the youth ministry, not just with guests, but more so ourselves, because we do have a lot of youth that have been in college or are in college. Myself, Damien, John's getting a graduate degree right now. JB had his college experience, so like we are wells of knowledge for you guys. So I really hope that you take advantage of that. I'm very happy that we had all this information shared. It was really good information. I hope that everybody learned something. And with that, I'm gonna say thank you for a third time, and we can close out. I hope everyone gets home safely, and I thank you again for coming. I really appreciate it. So, John, do you have a question? Okay, John's our new photographer, guys. He's taking pictures for the church. So, yeah, we can move this table or do it in front of the table. We take a picture with the table. Alexa, you're welcome to join us in our picture because you're present. John, how do you want us to stand? Okay. Or, yeah, up the steps might